Good afternoon. Welcome to your favorite weekly current affairs program, 60 Minutes Nigeria. My name is Ego Sagmalao. On today's show, we are taking an in-depth look into the Edo 2020 governorship election. But on today's show, the perspective is different. We're looking at antidotes against violence in elections. That's what all Nigerians are clamoring for. Edo 2020 governorship election is just around the corner next month. And residents in Edo, citizens in Nigeria, are all looking forward to this election. It must be peaceful for us to get unblemished result. I have very two distinguished personalities with me today, men who are highly respected in the society. I have with me Apostle Elvis Agbonayima. He's a clergyman and is also a man that comments on national issues. You are welcome to today's program.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Okay, we also have a regular face on the show, Dr. Emeka Ekuga, who is also a clergyman and also a social critic, a man that also speaks on national issues. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, Abulaho. Nigerians have always tell you we will get it better.
Okay. Well, that is what he has always advocated, that things will be good. And that is very inspiring. Now that Edo 2020 election is around the corner, we all deserve a very good election. The question is, what is antidote? Antidote is something you take to counteract a negative situation. So, what are the antidotes against violence in election? We'll start with Apostle Elvis, who is a man that is actually shepherding a lot of youths as well as adults. Now, what's your take on this? Antidotes against violence in election as we look forward to Edo 2020 governorship election.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
May I say this? I want to let the youth know first and foremost that if you die for election, you not die well. It is true. If you die for election, you not die well. Yeah. What will you tell God when you get there that you died for election? No. Now, the security outfit has to be on their toe. Okay. They have to be hardworking now. Okay. Because by the time people are allowed to do what they like, yes. And that's why you see today a lot of persons come on social media, begin to spark outside some kind of crisis, okay. Say what they like. Now, if the security outfit, which I'm seeing now that some people have been arrested, okay. If the arrest continue, you know, I think a lot of people will avoid it. Okay. You know, and we, the religious leader too, this is the best time, like I always say, to speak, to counsel our youth. Because when talking about violence, the people that are involved in violence, majority are the youth. Okay. Like I said, I will repeat again, if you die for election, you know that way. Now, because I said the other day when I was here, okay. I said that the ambition of any politician does not worth your blood. Therefore, if somebody must die, you shouldn't die for election. You know, now and again, like I was talking about the religious leaders, that this is the time we should speak. Just the other day, I was watching the news on ITV and I saw that the clergy was pouring oil on one of the candidates' head. That was a joke. You don't become a governor like that. I was shocked.
No, but then that is their personal
function. You know, that act alone can provoke a lot of persons. You know, because every candidate that is out now, they have pastor, they have people they submit to. A situation whereby a clergyman will just come out and begin to pour oil on somebody's head, a candidate's head, and say you are the next governor. Is that how you become a governor? That act alone, we have to be careful. Clergymen, we have to be careful. Okay. Even though you have somebody you wish to be a governor, but the way you go about it, mostly because you carry, there are followers. Like myself, I have a lot of followers. Okay. And this person that I saw is someone that also have a followers. That alone can begin to, change the game. That, so person have done it.
So what you are saying is that clergymen should be careful.
Should be careful.
Yeah, the way they conduct themselves, you know, as regard politicians.
Yes, just like our respected Majesty. I was so happy the way he spoke the other day. You know, he did, you know, the picture. That's why he's respected.
Okay.
You know, he gave a picture that everybody is his own. Therefore, yes, go out. Okay. You know, not that you pouring oil on somebody's head and say you are the next governor. It to me is a joke of the century.
Okay, we'll come back to you. But I think Apostle Elvis has made a very, very wonderful comment on the program that traditional rulers have posited that they are actually fathers to all. If it's a particular traditional ruler, it's father to all. So we're talking about all traditional rulers, they also see everybody as their children.
The ministers.
And he has also said that the clergy too are not exempted. That the clergy, because of their position, they are also father to all. That's what he has just posited. But don't forget, we are looking at ways to avoid violence, and he's saying that that's part of the ways too, that we should be careful the way they make public utterances. Okay, let's get the thoughts of Dr. Emeka Ekuga. Yes, antidote against violence. How do we ensure a peaceful conduct of the 2020 gubernatorial election in Edo State?
Yeah, let me start by appreciating the Edo State Police Command.
Okay.
On the victory of the arrest of the killers and rapers of
Uwa.
Okay, the Uniben undergraduate.
Okay. Student. It was a very good move. It shows how competent the CP of Edo State has always been. And if we can comment on that today and give him kudos, I think he can do better for him also to get more kudos. And what do I mean? The earlier he starts in working towards the antidotes of violence in this 2020 election, the better for him as a commissioner who is going to rise up to a higher height tomorrow. Also, the better for the command in Edo State. And at the same time, I want to say that one of the major ways we can be able to avoid and curtail violence. Violence in election has been something that has been on ground for years. If you look at other countries, we've been witnessing it. But it's quite unfortunate. Just like Apostle Levi said here, if any young man, because it's not adults that go out for this election violence, if any young man dies in election, you didn't die well. You died a shameful death. And they find it difficult to caution themselves. They find it difficult to say, look, other of the politicians who armed them, who encouraged them, who sponsored them to go into the field and start killing and start causing violence in election. Their children are not here. So if we must avoid violence in this forthcoming election, the communities has to come into place. They have to call, because all these young men came from one community to another. Many of them don't listen to people, but there is still somebody they listen to. The community leaders has to come into place. The Nigerian, the forces has to come into place. You talk about some arrest made some time ago. It's not enough. And I see where the military men go a little bit step forward, where they call some men and some people and ask them to tender and surrender their arms. I think these are one of the good measures. Yeah,
the Inspector General of Police, if I should interject, actually directed all commissioners of police to mop up illegal arms.
Yes.
Because part of ways to ensure a peaceful conduct of the election. Yes, I think that's the point you are trying to make.
That's the area I'm trying to go. This is another good move. Yes. It's a good step in the right direction. Okay. And I believe another area I will not overlook, I must say it here and I keep saying it, is still in the area of the presidency. It is not enough to call the former chairman of APC to say that make sure there is peace in those state conduct 2020 election. It's not enough. The president is the father of the nation. The president is number one. I used to remember those days when we were growing up. If the president want to make a broadcast, even if you don't have light, you begin to run to where somebody who owns his generator, you know, for you to listen to president's speech. And you see everybody, you know, in a expectation, the president want to make speech today. And once the president talk, the nation will be readdressed. You will see people sit up. I remember sometime during, is it Obasanjo or Jonathan, when he gave order that every governor in the state must perform. And we begin to see some right steps in the right directions. Okay. But unfortunately today, things are happening. You will see Mr. President sit in Aso Rock, and 1 week, 2 weeks, there will be no comment, there will be no statement towards that. There are killings everywhere. And with all these things, I don't think you will see sorry, I know you want to interject.
Yeah, I want to quickly interject.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you continue, Dr. Kuga. But when you say the president is not acting, I will not accept that on this program, because we've seen where the president had meetings with security chiefs. All jet towards ensuring peace in the country. I think that's what is expected of the president.
Thank you. Let me
the president cannot by himself go to the field.
Yes. No, we are not saying that.
He has to give order, and the president is doing that.
But I've told you earlier that those days when we hear the president want to make a speech, and you see everybody sit up, even the governors sit up. But today is a different ball game. You can agree with me. If Mr. President stands up tomorrow morning and they call a press conference, the security chiefs call the players in the political games and said he is today giving an order that the governorship election coming up in 2020 in Edo State and in Ondo State, I don't want to see any bloodshed. And he comes to the air. He comes on a national tele. He comes on media, national media. Okay. And they take this direction. My brother, I think some people will also take
I think I know where you are going now. What you are saying is that the way the president makes speeches, you want him to make a speech regarding the conduct of the election. Simple. That's the point you're making. Simple. Okay, now that is taken, but I must also add, like I've said, the president is one man that believes that, yes, different people head different units. Security chiefs are in charge of internal security. He holds meetings with them. He appraises the situation. He gives directive, gives order to ensure peace in the country. And I think that's what the president is expected to do. But you have also made your point that maybe there are other things you can add to it. Yeah,
let you come up. Sorry, before Apostle Evans comes up again, there's one more thing I want to add. Okay. And what is it? Now, if we want to get this very, very right, in case of tomorrow, because 2014 is coming.
2021, you mean?
2021 is coming. Okay. Another election, as long as Edo State is coming, and other states also, is also in future. Now, the National Assembly should come with a law. And do you know my fear? Because you that is making the law.
Okay, you are talking about presidential election 2023?
2023 presidential election. Okay. And the other elections that are coming up. Yes. Because if the law is not something we can get right now, it can be, project in future elections. In Edo State election, I believe that it's going to be violent free. Okay. I'm sure the law enforcement agencies will be in their place if they are not being used. Underline the word. But the National Assembly should come up with a law. Whether you are a law enforcement agent being used, whether you are an individual being used, if you are being caught or being accused and investigated and there is something found in you, something should be done.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you, but the laws are there. Any security agent that's found culpable, they're supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to ensure peaceful conduct. If any security agent is found culpable, I know such security personnel will be prosecuted. But let's get the thought of Apostle Elvis again. Now, some persons believe that it's unemployment that is affecting the youths that makes them to make themselves available as thugs. So, what other areas do you think government can quickly do to ensure that this election is peaceful?
Thank you very much, sir. Before I start, we have sufficient laws in Nigeria. I have checked. You know, if you go to Nigeria Constitution, there are sufficient law to guide, to bring about peaceful election. It is the implementation that is the issue.
Okay.
It is the implementation because, you know, just like there are many persons in Edo State who feel that they are bigger than the law. That is the problem. That's why I said the security outfit, they have to, you know, they have to play their part.
Okay.
They have to play their part. You know, talking about going to House of Assembly, to Senate for law, there are sufficient law that will, you know, is the implementation. I've said it before. Now, talking about, you know, the question you asked, you said whether it's an employment. The truth of the matter is not an employment.
Okay.
You know,
that's what some people believe.
It is not true.
When you talk about youth involvement in electoral violence, they say, oh, the youth are unemployed.
It is not true, sir. Okay. Like I told somebody, it is not poverty that makes someone to go into prostitution. If you want to prostitute, you prostitute. I've seen people that have good money. They live where they come from a very good family where they can eat well, they can live well, yet they are still involved in those nonsense.
Okay.
You get it, sir? Okay. You know, now it is not unemployment that has made a lot of youth to go into violence. Okay. What I discovered from my own personal view, you know, a lot of politicians, our fathers, they know that these youth, they are vibrant, they are intelligent people. You know, they have a way of trying to, you know, to deceive many of them. Manipulate them just to use them for their personal gain. Just like there are people now that are into all this, you know, a lot of, you know, that are involved in this violence. Many of them have jobs. I'm telling you, many of them have something good they are doing. You get it now. Yeah. Sometimes because of what they have been told, they just abandon what they were doing. So even some have family. You get it, sir? You know, it's not just unemployment; it's just deceive. But they will come to cover to say it's unemployment that is making a lot of youth, you know, to do this, to do that.
So what's your advice to these youths now? My
advice to the youth is for them to open their eyes. Don't say the idea of youth are the leaders of tomorrow. No, our leadership starts now. It begins now. By the grace of God, if I have allowed one politician to use me, I would not be where I am today.
That's right.
So you're a role model now?
Yeah, by the grace of God, I have followers, thousands of followers. Yeah. Now, you know, I tell my youth, don't allow anybody to use you. Because who want to make you will not use you. Okay. You get it now? Now, you know, our youth have to think. There's what we call creative ability. Many of our youth have creative ability. Okay. But some of these are fathers, politicians, have been able to kill the aspect of them. Just like you are a man of God doesn't mean you cannot do something. People like us, there are so many of us, men of God like us, we have business, we have things we are doing. You get it now?
Okay, some believe it's full-time calling, and they don't...
I'm a full-time pastor. Okay. When you come at any time, I will respond to you.
I will respond, but there is something of that.
But I have a source of income outside ministry. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Now? You are supposed to be a full-time pastor. That means to say whether they call you 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, anytime, you respond.
But that does not mean you don't have something doing.
It shouldn't mean that you should be lazy.
Yes.
I am not a lazy pastor.
Should be engaged.
I think that's the point.
You get it now.
Okay.
Because I have family. Therefore, I need to take care of my family. I don't depend on what is coming from there. Okay. You know that. Well, let's speak the truth. Even when you go to the church, the tithe and offering is not enough to take care of the church.
Okay, that's the topic.
It's a different topic. You get it? Now, it is not, sir. It is not unemployment that has made people to do what they are doing. Okay. It is ignorance. Okay. The Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Yes. A lot of people they are ignorant of what they are doing. They are being deceived by so-called some of these politicians.
And some of them are lazy too.
And some of these youth too are lazy.
Too much.
You see a youth, for example, you expect me to leave everything and come and stay in your house from morning to night, then you give me drink to drink. Is that how I'm going to take care of my family? No. That is laziness. That's why someone said the other day, he said our lazy, he said the youth are lazy. The Nigerian youth, God forbid, we are not lazy. People like us are not lazy. We are always thinking of what to do because my creative ability is, I put it in place. You get it? It is not poverty, or it is not poverty that makes someone steal. There are people that do things, legitimate things, just to survive. It is not because there is unemployment that has made people to be into violence. No.
Okay. We'll come back to you, Apostle Elvis. You've made very wonderful contribution. Dr. Emeka Ekuga. Now, cash inducement is another very negative factor when it comes to the period of elections. It is believed that many persons are induced, cash inducement, and that makes them to want to do everything to ensure that those who give them money win election at all costs. So how do we stop that?
It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me correct an impression. One of the reasons why you see a lot of people go out to collect money from politicians before they vote is because they felt the politicians has also collected the money in one way or the other through one corruption way or the other. And okay, during the election, I have not seen anything you've done for us before I go and cast my vote.
But is that not the wrong perception?
It's the wrong perception.
Because your ballot, your PVC is supposed to determine who gains public office. And if you are not satisfied with a particular politician, you have 4 years to vote that person out.
It's a very wrong
that
perception.
person.
Listen,
okay.
I follow very closely to this very 2020 election.
Okay.
I follow very closely, and I come to discover that some people complain, so candidate is not bringing money out.
That's very bad.
So candidate is not bringing money out. If you want to, if you make a notice saying play a joke, if you want to win, the other candidate is giving out money well. And I always tell them, if you have a mind for good governance, why will you expect me to give you money before you come together, cast your vote, and for me to work for you? If one of these candidates is the incumbent is doing well, you should allow him to continue doing well and not to be expecting to give you money. If the one that is coming, that wants to become a governor, you think is going to do very well too, more than the incumbent, you should not ask him to give you money before you cast a vote for him. It is wrong for you to go to a meet and they begin to expect money from politicians. Give me 1,000. Give me 2,000. Look at this very carefully.
So they should vote freely.
Vote freely.
Okay.
Vote freely.
Okay, we'll come back to you, but Apostle Elvis, you want to quickly comment on that?
I am so happy for this very question.
Okay, I can see the way I itch to.
With due respect, we the electorate, we are part of the problem.
Okay, how do you mean?
Yes. We are, let me say this. Election in Nigeria is becoming too expensive. I doubt the result we get after this election. Because someone that have borrowed money, that have done everything, almost sold all his property just for election, when he wins, what happens? He has to regain back. Because if you go, be telling people around, even we clergymen, we are guilty of it. When the politician is coming to your church, for example, you are expecting to bring the state money. That's why, by the grace of God, for many years now, I have never invited any politician to my church for such a thing. Because when you come and serve God, let's go. If there's a project, everybody will do it together. Situation where a politician come to visit you, you are expecting to just bring the whole money. Then if you start sharing the money, he will want to recover. Now, with the electorate, let me use with the electorate.
Yes,
with due respect, we are part of the major problem that the system is not working. Until we change, nothing will change. A situation whereby you discover that we are all, look at what is happening now. When you see they gather for campaign, you are expected to share money. I told my member a few days back, I said, just calculate those small money they are sharing. It's millions. In Western world that we are always running to, if someone wants to contest for an election, it is the masses. People will stand up to say, I will sponsor this. They gather money, and that's why the system that is working. But here, when you are to come out tomorrow, sir, you want to be a governor, the demand will be high. And if care is not taken, you might end up borrowing, and there are people that will give you money. There are people now who are supporting some candidate now, bringing billions. When the candidate wins election, he will want to make his money back. Therefore, there are contracts that will be given to that person, he might not do it well. And nobody, if you shout, that's what many of us, like I tell people, I say, listen, stop insulting people that are in governance. Let's do the right thing. Until we change, nothing will change.
So change of attitude.
Yes, this attitude of money. How much are they going to give to you? Yes. If like, by the grace of God, I am proud of this area, that no politician can say, yes, I have followers, I have people, but no politician can say, even these days now, some people will tell, some men of God will tell you, come and visit me. That come and visit me, bring money. If you don't bring money, when you leave, they try to
change of attitude.
Change of attitude. This attitude of, I want to collect money. I told my member, listen, if you start collecting money from them, you are part of the problem. Go there and vote your mind and your conscience.
Good.
All right, let me add something.
Yes, Doctor.
Apostle Levis, there is one area we are also missing.
Okay.
Now, look at a candidate want to buy a form from a political party to contest election. And imagine a huge amount of money for a form. A huge, millions.
But don't you think these political parties have their reasons for that?
No, that's whatever be the reasons. If you and Asanagbolaho, you just said you want to contest election, you are a staff of ITV. You want to contest election, and the ticket for
a particular political
party candidate ticket, not one person, not two persons, is about 22 million. 22 million. And it may be your salary for the past 10 years. You've not covered 22 million. And somebody helped you. You buy ticket of 22 million. You would want to do everything to make sure you
why not go to other political parties? There are other political parties. We have many political parties.
But in Nigeria, you know that political parties that are on ground are the ones you can hear. The ones your eye can see. Of course, there are political parties you want to go and contest election today. If you go there, nobody will look at your face.
It looks like a waste of time.
It looks as a waste of time. So,
but you are supposed to build your own political party. The group is supposed to build their political party. It's supposed to be ideology.
It becomes more attractive when they tell you pay 15 million to get a ticket. You go there, you hustle for money, you pay. Okay. And you would want to do everything to win election. That's why you see they begin to, put hands in bringing in talks.
Yes.
To make sure they help them carry ballot papers, they help them scare people from coming to vote, they help them do one or two things for them to win election. I mean, it's a wrong...
Thank you, Dr. Kuba. Your parting words, Apostle Elvis. Once again, it's an abridged version because of the effect of COVID-19. We have an educational program, so do bear with us. Okay.
My advice to the youth, yes. I said it before, I will repeat myself again. If you die for election, you know that way.
Okay.
Therefore, be careful. Be at alert.
Thank you. Your parting words, quick.
The security agents,
yes.
I want to beg you, don't allow anybody to use you against.
Okay.
Do your work as why you are in the system. Politicians, stay clear because the wages of whatever you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you, my distinguished panelists, Apostle Elvis and Dr. Emeka. I hope you've enjoyed this week's edition. Time is not our friend, but hopefully we'll have the time. My name is Ego Sagmalao. Ensure a peaceful conduct of Edo 2020 governorship election. Bye-bye.